In this week's Pets Practice, Nigel rescues another magpie accidentally tied to a tree. Lisa visits an apiary and also discovers how you can get your dog to do some herding. Dr. Kevin returns to the animal hospital at Healesville Sanctuary. But first, Julija gets Flick to show us how to do a trick at a distance.
Hey Flick, it's time for another trick. Hi there, I'm Julija and this is Flick, my beautiful border collie. Have you ever wondered how people get their dogs to work at a distance away from them? Most dogs love working in this very close proximity to us because, well, this is where they get all the rewards. Today, we're going to show you how to get your dog to go to a place and move away from you. Training this skill requires great timing, so using a marker word like yes, or maybe even your clicker, will help with this. Remember that with every click that you give, you're also going to have to give a treat as well, so make sure you've got lots of treats at the ready. Now you'll also need something to use as your place. It might be a jar lid, a square of carpet, a small mat, or maybe even your dog's bed. I have a different criteria depending on the type of place that I'm using. If it's a jar lid, I'd like my dog to race to it and place her paw on it. If it's a carpet square, she needs to run to it and sit on it. If it's her bed, she needs to have every part of her body on it. Be consistent with what you expect. Don't keep changing your mind because that will lead to a sloppy performance by your dog.
Animal Rescue, Nigel speaking. Animal Rescue, Nigel speaking. Animal Rescue, Nigel speaking. Okay, once again we've got a magpie hanging out of a tree upside down. There's a cockatoo up there with him at the moment. So we better get our gear on and get up there quickly, because it's crucial. The longer the magpie's hanging, the more injuries he's going to get on his legs. Okay, here we go. Now with my safety gear, I've got to make sure that I'm always harnessed into the tree by 2 points, or at least harnessed in at all times. So before I take one strap off, I always put another strap on first. So I'm always connected to the tree. So there's no chance of falling out of this tree unless the tree falls over. I love doing these rescues. This is where I get my most fun out of my work, is saving these animals from these dangerous situations. The cockies don't like me up here either. There may be a cockatoo nest as well, possibly. So we've got 3 cockies, 4 cockies, 5 cockies up here. Okay, Maggie, it's all right. It's only a juvenile. He's certainly got a lot of string and a lot of twine wrapped around his legs. On first impressions, it looks like his legs are not broken to me. Quite often the legs are snapped in half with horrific injuries. But I think we might have got to this guy quick enough.
Okay. Stella Reed from Wildhaven Wildlife Shelter, who we met earlier in the series, has brought in a swamp wallaby in need of some attention from the vets at Healesville Sanctuary, where Dr. Kevin is visiting and helping out.
Okay, so this is a swamp wallaby. He was burnt in the Kilmore fires about 2 weeks or so ago. He's got pretty bad burns to his front legs and to his hind feet as well. You'll see he's got bandages on all those feet. Today we're going to change the bandages and see how the wounds are going. To do that though, we need to anaesthetise him first. Because changing those bandages is really quite painful. So once he's asleep, we'll be able to take the the bandages off and just check to see how those wounds are looking. The carer also reports that he's starting to have some difficulty breathing, which is not uncommon with animals that have been in fire situation. The smoke and the warm air does damage their lungs, and it can be quite severe. So we might need to take some chest x-rays as well.
Do you want me to take this one off as well?
Yep, sure. Usually what happens is once the fire goes through, they hide and then they go back across the hot ground. Yep. And it takes a few days to actually get hold of them. Yeah, okay. So that's not uncommon that we don't see them straight away, that we'll see them 3 or 4 days after they've actually been injured. And quite often by that stage, the wounds are already really bad, and so they're fighting an uphill battle already. Yeah, so I was just saying that quite often with these guys, they have extensive damage to the lungs, either from the smoke or just the hot air that they breathe in. So it's not uncommon for us to see animals that have been involved in fires that have secondary really bad chest problems. And just in our experience, once they get that, they just don't do well at all. Yes, they never recover. Yeah. It's not too bad.
Thoughts?
His lungs aren't too bad. I think some of the noise is coming from the upper respiratory tract. Yeah. So then maybe some damage up there. We'll have a chat to Stella. She seems to think he's not doing quite that well. So we'll see what she wants to sort of do with him, because those wounds are infected. There's pus on there, so they're not looking great. So we've got to make a decision what we do.
What's in his best?
Stella, his chest doesn't look too bad on the x-ray. Some of that noise you're hearing, I think, is coming from the upper respiratory tract, so his nose, mouth sort of area. Okay. And his chest, once he's asleep, it sounds relatively okay. Oh, okay. The wounds are looking pretty mucky. They're, especially on his feet, there's a lot of pus there.
We expected that.
So what do you want to do with him? Do you want to keep going?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
I'm very happy to.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
And daily bandage changes, something you're going to commit to, cleaning, providing him with some antibiotic coverage, pain relief, and keeping our fingers crossed that his own strength and your TLC brings him through.
I think a little creature that's gone through a fire, that's been in the ground, lying injured and burnt, singed all over his body, I think anyone that's got that strength of heart, fortitude, and then when you pick them up and they lick you and they just want some water and a cuddle, and you can feel when you feel their body all that burnt hair, you know, that's pretty powerful for a dear little black wallaby. You know, the sweetest little creature, to trust a human to love them and bring them back. So yeah, I'm going to give it. If he's got the will to live, I've got the power to work with it.
You do a marvellous job, Stella. Marvellous job.
I know. I must say it's an honour and privilege to work with them, to love them and live with them. You know, it is.
He's a very lucky little guy to have you, I think.
Thank you.
Animal Rescue, Nigel speaking. Gotcha, matey. Gotcha down. Look at that leg. That little bit of twine and string. And all I'm doing is just turning the stick around and it looks like it's going to come off. How's that? Just that tiny little bit there. Just like that. You are one lucky little magpie because your legs are not broken. So hopefully we can rehabilitate you now and get you back out here, back to your mum and dad again. But you're going to have to go into my bag to make your way down to the ground. Hey, down safe and sound. Okay, well, we've got two different types of twine on this one here. It's going to be quite easy to cut it off. It's the fishing line that really cuts into those legs, which is a really nasty material. But this string is not too bad. Yay, that's the last of it. I'm always telling people to pick up that little piece of innocent string and twine that you see lying on the ground, because that is lethal to our wildlife, as you've seen in this particular case today.
Take that with you.
Take that for your collection.
Show the vet and show the carers.
You know, who was it that spotted him today?
Actually, my daughter-in-law.
It was your daughter-in-law, right, okay. Well, congratulations to her, because she's the one that has actually rescued the bird. It wasn't me, it was whoever spotted it and found the bird in the first place. I'm just the silly one that climbs the tree. Here you go, off to a Ware Wildlife Rescue.
Thanks,
well
Nigel.
done, no worries
Great
at all.
job.
Thanking you, it's a great team effort.
Which animal has 2 sets of wings, is around the size of my fingernail, and yet is responsible for 65% of agricultural pollination in Australia? Today I'm at the Collingwood Children's Farm to learn about the fantastic little honeybee and find out how we can contribute to their pollination efforts across the country. 5 kilometres from Melbourne CBD, on a bend of the Yarra River, the Collingwood Children's Farm is a not-for-profit organisation that provides a country encounter for city slickers. Barry Cooper and Bernie Hines from the Victorian Aparists Association are going to give us a closer look at their joint beekeeping operation. Barry, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 boxes in this apiary. How many bees do you think you've got?
Some have got a lot of bees and some have got a few. So if you average it out, probably about 300,000 bees here at the moment. But in summertime, that will increase to maybe 500,000.
Wow. You're going to open this?
Yeah, we'll have a look. This hive looks a bit strong, so we can have a look at the entrance.
Okay.
We see a lot of bees going in and out. And we'll have a look at this top box, which is where the honey should be. And would you like a taste of honey?
I would love it.
Straight out of the hive. Okay,
How
we'll see how we go.
fantastic. Each hive consists of 3 types of bees: the humble worker, the male drone, and the queen. The worker bees are the ones you'll see in your garden. Their job is to collect enough pollen and nectar to feed the entire colony. Nectar is made up of mostly sugar and water. The workers fan and regurgitate the nectar, which reduces its water content, turning it into the sticky, sugary concentrate we know as honey.
So Lisa, if you look carefully, you can see some glistening nectar. That's honey that's being formed. And when the cell is full and the honey is fully ripe, the bees then coat it with a layer of wax. So
Which
I think
what's going on
what's
here.
going on there. And Bernie's going to scrape off some of that wax and give you a taste.
Thank you. Straight in the gob.
Take it all in your mouth.
I think I got some wax in there too.
That's
Can I eat
good
that?
for you. You can either swallow it and it cleans out your digestive system, supposedly, or you can spit it out.
It's down. It's done. Yum, that's beautiful. And how much honey does the average bee make in its lifetime?
About half a teaspoon.
Half a teaspoon.
And each hive will produce upwards of 50 kilos of honey if it's managed properly. In Melbourne.
In layman's terms, it takes a lot of bees to make a little honey.
That's right, yes.
Okay. Worker bees live for 6 to 8 weeks and work 24/7. They buzz from flower to flower, gathering protein-rich pollen on their hind legs. What they don't realise is that as they move around the garden, they're also pollinating our plants, enabling them to produce fruit and vegetables. In fact, the honeybee pollinates 65% of our food crops, including almond, apple, cucumber and broccoli. Monitoring the use of pesticides and managing disease and parasites is critical to the health of this relationship. Without honeybees, we'd suffer a serious food shortage.
We had a boy come here, he said, I can have a look at the beehive. He came down and said, there's the queen.
Wow.
And we spent 2 hours looking for her. So it's a matter of luck.
Needle in a haystack.
There
Oh,
she is.
I see.
Oh,
Is that
good.
her?
She saw it.
She's a different colour actually, isn't she?
Yes.
She's just there.
She would live up to 5 years, but her purpose is to produce eggs to make new bees. And of course, the other sort of bee is the male bee, the drone.
And their job is to just reproduce with
Their
the
job is to reproduce, and when they reproduce, they die. So that they don't know it though. We make a point of not telling them.
A queen can lay over 1,000 eggs a day. There are plenty of mouths to feed. That's a baby bee. Is it a baby bee?
It's a baby bee, and is it a worker or a drone?
It's a drone.
Well done.
To learn more about honeybees, head to the Victorian Aparists Association website.
I'd like to welcome my rookie owners and their dogs. We've got Rachel with Barnaby and Sharon with Chili. So to start off with, guys, I'm going to give you your little disc, and they've even got a paw print on them as well. Now you might remember in a couple of segments ago in Flick's Tricks, we taught you to shake paws. We're going to start off by putting the disc on your hand as though they're just going to shake your paw. All right, so start off with that with your guys, and when they do, yes, and follow through with a reward. And make sure that you actually get your dog's paw to hit here. Any other missed efforts, sit. So if your dog happens to get, high up on your wrist, don't reward those. You want them actually on the disc. Good girl. Once your dog is quite comfortable in giving the paw while it's holding in your hand, you can change holding it, guys, by holding that little tab on it. So now it's not in your palm, and the dog has to work out that it needs to touch, yeah, good girl, touch the disc by you holding it slightly differently. As the dog's confidence boosts, once the dog is doing that quite happily with it, you holding it while it's on the ground, you can place it down and let go of it and see if your dog, what are you going to do? Yeah, good girl. Good girl. Now, if you're not using something as small as this, you can use your dog's bed, but for this one, it's really important. Have a whole heap of treats, and as the dog puts one part of their body, they get a piece of food. So Flick's now put her whole body in, and she keeps getting food. So as I move away, and if she wants to step out, she doesn't get any more food. Party, good girl. So to get more food, she's worked out that I need to hop all the way into my bed. So her priority here is to stay in the bed instead of hopping out of the bed, because when she's out of the bed, no food comes. All dogs want their food, don't they? Party, good girl. And she just hopped back into bed, good girl. This is such a great trick to boost the confidence of even the shyest of dogs. As long as you maintain the value for going to the place, your dog will want to keep going there, showing you how clever he or she is. Once your dog is happy at its place, try getting your dog to perhaps do some other tricks at that distance. Happy training, and we'll see you next time.
If your Kelpie still runs laps around you at the end of a long walk or herds kids and dogs at its leisure, then you, my suburban dwelling friends, are going to get a lot out of the places I'm taking you to today. Yes, we are going to work some sheep. Charlie Brincat from Herding Dog Training runs workshops for working breeds, and boy will you be surprised by what your dog can do. Charlie, thank you for having us today. Can you tell us a bit about why you do these classes?
Well, I had a Labrador that died quite a few years ago, and my daughter and my wife came back with a Kelpie. This Kelpie was pretty well hot-wired. So my trainer actually said, I think your dog should go and chase some sheep. And that's what I did. Right. I found a Kelpie breeder in a Welsh pool.
Yep.
His name's Paul McPhail, and that's where I started.
Okay.
And I used to go there, quite a few weekends for training.
Yes.
And then one day I said to Paul, hey Paul, I'm sick of driving here. It's a 2.5 hour drive,
It's a long way to go.
I said, I'm thinking of getting some land in Melbourne and setting up. He says, I'll give you a hand.
Great.
So he helped me set up here.
Great. So what can we expect to see in the dogs that come along today?
Well, we'll have a few new dogs today. People haven't had them working on sheep before, so
Okay.
we'll show you how we start them.
All right.
And you just see how it goes on the sheep.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. And can people like me do it?
If you got a dog.
If I've got a dog? I might just watch everyone else today, I think.
Well, you can work one of our dogs if you like.
Great.
Yeah, you can work Eli.
Yeah, great.
He's good to work.
Excellent. Well, let's get started
Yeah,
then.
okay then.
Kelpies can run up to 60 kilometres in an average working day. So when kept in a suburban environment, it's no surprise boredom can become a major problem. The key to a happy relationship? Do your research and know what you're signing yourself up for.
So what I'm going to do, send the dog either to the right and to the left. Now, he knows what to do.
His job ultimately is to bring the sheep to you, is that right?
Bring the sheep to me, yeah.
Yep. And for somebody that's new, you use instruments like this to
help guide the dog, is that right?
We use this to help guide the dog, yeah. So you'll see later on when we've got some new people in here, I'll be working the new dog. So the new dogs will need direction. Good boy.
So in early training you teach the dogs right and left?
Right and left, yeah.
Okay.
We don't give them any verbal commands to start with because they're a bit all over the place, but we push them to the left and to the right, you know, with our marker. So then they get to know that they've got to go from one direction to the other direction. But it takes them a while to actually associate that with the verbal command left and right.
Okay.
So we introduce verbal commands a lot later down the track.
Okay. Do you think I could have a go with him?
Yeah, I think you can.
Eli, lie down. Eli.
Lie down.
No, he doesn't like me.
Well, he's trying to my commands,
used
but
to
you
your
tell him
voice.
to go.
Eli, right.
Eli.
Many trainers use rakes and pipes along with commands to guide dogs around sheep. Eventually instinct kicks in and dogs are able to herd sheep on command alone.
As you can see, working dogs are extremely energetic. So if you're considering bringing one into your home, you better be prepared to put in the hard yards, quite literally.
And while these guys will never get tired, some of us eventually need a breather.
Well, I don't know about you, but I am exhausted and I haven't been the one running around. I think this guy is more my pace.
Dr. Kevin returns to Healesville Animal Sanctuary as a Palmer wallaby is brought in urgently by the keepers.
Pretty low heart rate, don't they?
Yeah, well, no.
No, okay. That's why
we're trying to control him.
Okay.
Not a happy little dude. So I'm just going to look at his eye. So you can see a little bit of redness.
Yeah, a little bit of redness, a little bit of discharge,
Yeah.
the third eyelid.
Yeah. Oh. What? Bitten the tip of his tongue. Oh. Ouch. Ouch.
Leanne's just taken some X-rays. She's gonna look at those in a moment. She's taken some blood, so we'll have a look at the blood screen and see what that information gives us. We're just feeling his abdomen now to see whether we can find anything palpable that might give us any clues as to why he's in this condition. And it's just a lot of TLC and time that will help us pull him through, hopefully.
Leanne, unfortunately that little Palmer wallaby didn't make it.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what you think actually happened with him, why he was so sick?
Yeah. It's really unusual actually. So when we got him on the table, we did notice that his heart rate was quite slow, but it was also really cold. So we thought, you know, let's warm him up and see how it goes. But it just continued to slow down. Actually, when we looked at the X-rays, his heart is really large and round. It's an abnormal shape. And then we were able to put an ECG on and look at actually the trace, so the electrocardiogram trace. And he was actually in atrial fibrillation, so his heart rhythm was abnormal. So that explains the really low heart rate. And I think everything that we saw was probably related to that, really. He was dehydrated, he was really poor body condition, you know, there was a lot of other things, but I think really the heart condition...
All stemmed from essentially being in heart failure.
Yeah, which is really, it's an unusual finding. He's not an old wallaby. You know, it'll be interesting to see what we find when we do the post-mortem, and we'll send samples away as well, so we'll get the laboratory, the pathologist to tell us what they think. And yeah, I mean, when we work with wildlife, we find new things all the time, and I think that his heart condition was something that he wasn't going to be able to live with, and so we euthanized him.
And it certainly was the best thing to do for him. And
absolutely.
I suppose working in an amazing place like this, everything still is a learning experience to a certain degree. You know, you'll use that knowledge that we from today to manage other Palmer wallabies later down the track.
Absolutely. Like, I think we'll probably all, you know, next time I have a Palmer wallaby on the table with slow heartbeat, we'll immediately get the ECG out rather than thinking maybe it's something that we can, you know, manage. And also I think it's really important to investigate that because, you know, maybe it's a genetic problem. We don't want that to be, you know, spread out into the captive population. So, yeah,
and
really
zoos
sad.
share information as well, like the information you hear kind of across, I think we mentioned San Diego before, and close relationships with other zoos around the world.
Absolutely.
absolutely. So not just here in Australia, but Palmer wallabies aren't uncommon, you know, and so in captivity. And so we just share that information with other zoo vets so that they can manage their population. And it's going to be particularly important if we think it has a genetic, factor involved there, because we don't want that type of thing in our captive population.
No, not at all.
Yeah, so really sad for the little guy. I know the keepers are going to be really sad because they get quite attached to these little animals. But I think definitely I can feel comfortable that that was the right thing to do for that little man.
Decision.
Yeah.
Well, Leanne, you do a marvellous job here.
Thank you.
So almost makes me want to be a wildlife vet. I think I'll stick to dogs and cats.
Thanks very much.
No worries, Leanne.
Okay.